What's up, beautiful people? It's your girls, Leanne. We're getting blissed out with Shedding into Soul Culture podcast number 23 with my dear friend, Jai Sri Lambert, Ayurvedic doctor, holistic healer, and beautiful mindset. Welcome, Jai Sri.
Thank you so much. This is a great privilege. And once again, we're chatting on these very lofty topics. Thank you for the opportunity.
And you know, the beauty of growing is something we've learned about perfection and imperfections. And today we'll be talking about the DinaCharya and the 4 Life Ashrams. Basically, a brief intro to how it affects your timeline. What else are we going to stem on there, Jayshree? You let us know.
Well, I think we'll have to touch a little bit onto relationships and how the Prakriti Vikriti paradigm and the Dinacharya, the right use of time, how it impacts how we enter into relationship according to the VPK, the Vata Pitta Kapha, and then the same how it influences our choice of profession and how we enliven that profession.
So good. So starting with our opening prayer, guide us, please.
This is a prayer to Sri Ganesh in honor of my teacher, who has provided me much close to everything that we're about to share this morning, Dr. Lad. And in his honor, this is the prayer to Sri Ganesha to remove obstacles as the first dedication. Om. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatim Avamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamastravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvanu Tibihi Siddhasadanam Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Siddhi Buddhi Shakti Saita Shriman Mahaganadipataye Namo Namaha Nirvignam Kuru.
Namaste.
So, do you want to lead off with a question?
Yeah, so we have our DinaCharya. What is it? And with the 4 Life Ashrams, how does it affect our time?
Beautiful. This right use of time from birth to death is a very critical knowledge. The time is divided into many different divisions. One of them is muhurtas, or moments. One of them is dina, or the day, the diurnal factor, sunrise to sunrise. And then the 4 periods of life as well, early education, earning years, retirement years, which is the withdrawal phase, and then the moksha phase, the liberation phase. So we'll go into those a little bit, but mostly let's talk about the Dinacharya, the daily practices that are going to help us to make the most of this golden opportunity of being in a human body, in a human birth, having the home of planet Earth within this solar system, because Ayurveda as a science, it does interface with Jyotish, the science of the stars, time, astrology. So in this sense, we want to know about the sunrise, the importance of the sunrise, that before the sunrise, there is a period called the Amrit Vela, or the Brahma Muhurta, which is from 3 to 6 a.m., which is the ideal time for worship, meditation, mindfulness practice, introspection. This is the time for prayer, meditation, in order to develop that primary foundation of life in the communion with the divine. It's the relationship, the overall yoga of the individual soul and the oversoul. So this is the time for it. Now, once the sun rises, sun, of course, Surya, brings its blessing of photosynthesis, growth, weather. It brings its blessing of illumination, activity, energizing, and we're ready for the day. So we should be diurnal people and not nocturnal people, not having our activities after dark or during the nighttime, which is for rest, because we need a balance of active and passive. So active is during the day. And so, of course, first thing will be some exercise, some yoga, some stretching, some perhaps aerobic exercise, perhaps some weights. It depends on where you're at and what is best for your body. Longevity wise, yoga is best, and you're the expert. And you know that yoga has 8 limbs. One of them is asana, the stretching postures. One of them is pranayama, the breathing practices. So they belong here early morning. Then when there's a little bit of a light sweat, then person can have a shower, put on clean clothes, and find out where they're at with their hunger. If they're not hungry, no food, nothing by mouth until hunger happens. And once hunger is robust, then we would choose the food according to the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, according to our Prakriti and Vikruti, which we've discussed before in earlier podcasts. But we'll just make a brief review that Prakriti is your constitution from the time of conception. It comes from the journey of the soul, choosing the moment when the parents have love together and the soul can then enter into the union of the sperm and the ovum. So that is your unique Prakriti. Now, there are variations on the details of it, but that's sort of the general principle. Then there is the Deha Prakriti, the gestational period, during which there are many guidelines around practices to optimize the child's health, well-being, mental capacity, long life, dedication to service, so that the soul gets, again, the most from being a human being, a divine light fragmentation. So shall we go into profession or?
Yeah, what do you feel like is best to start there?
Well, I think now you see, once the person has had breakfast, they're off to work. So which work is suitable? For Vata person, Vata people are very much poets. They are very much artists. And if they're in a weightlifting job, they will injure themselves soon and be unfit. So rather than go through the trouble of finding out the hard way, that the body is more delicate. It should not be doing physical exertion beyond the capacity. And Pitta person is typically in the leadership positions, teaching, keeping order as a police person, as a lawyer, as a governor of types, perhaps of the family, perhaps in the community, and perhaps in the wider arena as well. So Pitta person is well suited to a job of meticulous detail, whereas a Vata person is generally more scattered and they need little more Pitta organization to have their life systematized, regularized, normalized. They're the most likely to have a changeable day frame. Vata influences us to sort of change uh, at the moment instead of having a plan and being consistent. So Pitta person is all for planning, having a plan and having it pull off at a right time in the right way, so they feel happy, satisfied, they feel right, they feel righteous, they feel that they're doing the right thing, that they're fulfilling their right purpose. And Kapha person is very patient. Now, these are the muscular people. They're the sturdy ones who are to be doing the labor. They have great capacity for sustained exertion. They have great forbearance, and they're often very forgiving and very capable of following through. So Pitta and Vata people less so in that order. But for That is to say, Vata person has the least capacity to follow through. Pitta has the most capacity to follow through in terms of the concept. But the actual completion, it's the job of the turtle, not the hare. Pitta is the hare, always eager to get it done and meet the goal, but can get distracted. Then Kapha person is very methodical, very pleased when they meet the goal. They plan for it to start a little bit before the time and complete a little bit before the time, so that they can look back and they're satisfied that the plotting method has become successful.
Mm. Beautiful. So even with the seasons changing, something that's just coming up for me too is like if our more dominant dosha in each season can be fluctuant, so then we will also be affected by this nature of our day in, day out differently according to season.
Absolutely. So we're in hot summer season now. We need to be following a pitta pacifying program, which is that is notwithstanding your Vikruti, of course. So pitta, because of the temperature getting hotter and hotter, we have not hit our heat wave yet this year, but it's coming on slowly. It's been a relatively cool spring, a little bit rainy spring. So summer is not quite really fully established. Maybe this week. Where the temperatures get higher, and we have to really practice a cooling program. Light clothes, linen clothes, white clothes, pastel clothes, and so the breeze can move through.
Mm,
Then not only as we're going to work, being aware of our profession, our prakriti, our right use of time, not only from the morning, but on through the workday as well, so that we regulate appetite as a primary concern, plan for appetite to be a very critical, pivotal time during the day, whether it's summer or winter. But in summer, we want to follow the pitta pacifying program, avoiding hot foods, spicy foods, sour foods, and choosing more sweet, astringent, and bitter items.
mm,
Then winter season is next to come upon us, and that will be a time where we would follow the kapha soothing pacifying program for
mm,
winter. We would avoid cold items, sour items, heavy items. We would strictly avoid yogurt, ice cream, things like heavy items, because in winter it's heavy enough with the snow, which is very, very heavy. Rain and water, of course, is very heavy, 60
mm,
pounds per cubic foot. So it's really very important to have more activity in winter, more
mm,
exercise activity in winter. Then
mm,
spring season, of course, is the great awakening. And that's when Vata and Prana start to activate. Everything starts to grow and change and sprout and relate and feel hopeful and fresh and active. So between the change of the four seasons, fall, of course, is a time we're going to adjust to winter by very carefully thinking about cold factor. Easily we can get colds, flu, uh, bone conditions, aches and pains in fall if we don't have enough exercise, enough oil, enough frequency of and regularity of food and elimination, and sleep, of course.
mm,
So between the juxtaposition, the change of the four seasons is the time when we would choose a cleansing activity, so that at the very junction of the two seasons, summer and fall, fall and winter, winter and spring, spring and summer, that's when we would take a few days, 3 days, 5 days, and do an individualized, suited to our own prakriti and vikruti, our individualized cleansing program, maybe a fast of types, maybe restrictions, maybe a mono diet, depending on what's suited to the person. So if you're not sure, you can see an Ayurveda practitioner in your local area. But there are also many, many books out there Latika,
Mm,
that convey this in much more detail. And it's important to know the detail before undertaking these cleanses at the
mm,
change of season. So similarly in the daily routine as well, we have junctures, and we spoke about the noontime meal. The heat of the day is the time of greatest appetite. So it's the time of the main meal, which is
mm,
quite different from our society, which has its main meal as dinner, and often at 6, 7, 8, even 9 o'clock at night, which is too late and leads to a multitude of health issues,
mm,
cardiac problems, diabetic problems, obesity problems, sleep problems. So an early dinner, 4 to 5 o'clock, is the ideal way. Did you have a supper at 5 o'clock when you were a child?
oh yeah, always.
That was the way.
Yeah.
And so same, we have to see that we're not doing emotional eating in the evening, because this is a time when the differences in the prakriti and vikruti of the partner will maybe pick a fight, or because there's emotional unresolved that comes up in the evening. So evening eating should be avoided for that reason. So it's not based on emotionality, but it's based in nutritional needs for a suitable balance of the six tastes for each person. And also, we have to be aware that if we do emotional eating in favor of giving emotional medicine to emotional concerns, that is to say, we have to meditate on how much care and compassion we need to extend to ourselves, how
Mm,
much patience and acceptance as we are that we need to extend to ourselves.
mm,
And we need to really have the same for the family members.
mm. Beautiful. Yeah, I was listening, the big thing about the winter appetite and like how you're supposed to be eating less, actually people overeat and do less exercise. And then they go into like crazy modes and try to get skinny for the summer. Like it's just there's such a backwards approach in the North American way of living with all of the senses not even recognizing, smartphones and smart deliveries. Like, I mean, like everything, we just thought drive-throughs were one thing. Now you can have everything delivered to your door with Uber. And like the tendency to have that opulence is great because there's more jobs, there's more expansion, there's always more prakriti energy. But are we stilling that center to be the observer to like the unnecessary use of things, the unnecessary creation versus going deep and deeper in our arts or our passion with our work?
Uber doesn't deliver Ayurveda meals as yet, at least in our neighborhood. There are a few places where in towns, maybe New York, maybe Albuquerque, maybe even Nashville, where these meals are deliverable, but not in our region unless we make some special arrangements. So we still need to be cooking our own main meal, the lunch meal. We still need to be allocating a half hour in the morning or the evening before as a second choice to cook the food fresh from local items. And things are so abundant right now, coming on with the gardens being, whether it's strawberries or everything is coming on into full effulgence with the local herbs, the local crops. Yeah, these next few months are going to be very delightful as far as an abundance of locally available food items that are going to be compatible to our. It's just a simple matter of knowing what is best for our constitution, what is best for our current transiting Vikruti, and choose and plan the meals accordingly. And whomever we're uh, cooking for, we're also taking into account their Prakriti and Vikruti. So it would be varied according to these principles and their digestive capacity. Maybe they have digestive weakness and they need a more soft cooked meal that's going to be easier to digest. Maybe they need more pungency in the meal as compared to other flavors, because we need all six at all in most every day. But which ones? It will be according to our Prakriti and Vikruti. So
Mm,
definitely giving emphasis to cooking the first meal of the day is very important. Of course, the person can have a little light breakfast if they like some tea, some nibble, just to cut the hunger and wait for lunch, the main meal. But as the sun will be highest in the sky, will be the greatest agni externally, and therefore it will influence the appetite to be at the greatest as well. Sometimes, so each person will be different. Might be 11 o'clock, might be noon, might be 1 o'clock, might be 2 o'clock, or even 3 or 4. If they're just having one meal a day, could be that 3 o'clock is their time to eat.
Mm. Okay, so some of the things that we had discussed that I thought we could just lightly share a little bit relating to, we had already talked about daily routine. Now being spontaneous and thriving with this too. So like, so say we're stuck in a block of a misuse of our senses too, and like how to come out of that and how to apply the logic, to transform ourselves, like say, even if we were overeating or not, like what would be your suggestions in that area?
Well, I think we need a support system, either friends, colleagues, professionals, even online groups nowadays that do provide the support and that we're tapped in with to make sure that we're on time for the yoga class because everybody else is there, or support systems. It
Mm,
can be internally uh, generated, of course, and that's the best. But
mm,
in order to sustain it, especially in the beginning, it does help to have a bit of a support group to work with. And I think that goes as well for um, the ashrams of life, the 4 stages of life.
mm,
And 4 stages of life are very interesting because if this is Kali Yuga, so the lifespan is about 100 years, which is much different from past yugas. It's the shortest lifespan of all the 4 yugas. So now 100 years is divided into 4 ashrams. So the first 25 years of life is the brahmacharya, the celibacy, the educational phase. This is the time to prepare one's profession, complete the degrees, complete the education and preparation for investing in profession. Then Arta, the second 25 years of life from about age 25 to about 50, is for building wealth, saving the income, spending frugally, having the family life. Then the third ashram of life from 50 to 75 is called Vanaprastha, or the withdrawal of the person from the active participation into the vigorous, adult part of life. And then the last 25 years is the moksha period, the time for meditation, spiritual practice, donation, simplification, and keeping a focus on the horizon ahead, the liberation from
mm,
all suffering and delusion. So these 4 ashrams of life as well. You see, reason we're discussing it is, yes, our society surrounding us is not tuned into this. There's a very different paradigm active in our society. And this is where we're going to find the source of many causes of suffering. So, as an Ayurveda doctor, of course, I'm seeing people every day, every week that are not understanding these basic concepts and principles about right use of time. So we'll find sleep disorder rampant, appetite and digestive disorders rampant,
mm,
hormonal disturbances rampant,
mm.
behavioral disturbances also. So we really have to look to see what is right use of time. What are the 3 principles of appetite, sleep, and elimination that have to be in place for each person to be balanced? So
I
appetite,
find it very interesting too, because I feel karmatically, even when we're following all of it, like for example, 30 years now I'm doing yoga, but I look at the karmas of exchange. So the karmas of exchange, not only your karma, but the karma you're exchanging with somebody else, and then DNA and family lineages are all like, obviously, sticking to our sadhana will help us regularly and regulate these things. But the fluctuations or the spontaneity with life, the fluctuations of the good and bad, we really can turn back and tune into these four ashrams to recognize, okay, am I back in target, or am I back in my place where I should be working on myself and growing the best that I can, and recognizing my emotional imbalances or my emotional experiences, like the rapid openings of all these, especially being in North America. you know um there's a lot. I mean, culture wise, I feel like I look at India and I see how much it's just part of culture there, no matter whether you're Hindu, Christian, Muslim over there. It's just the culture of India that they are recognizing, okay, that there is an ashram living. But yes, karmatically, we're still all affected by, lack of, also because maybe in one of our ashrams we didn't get married. In one of our ashrams we didn't practice enough celibacy, and like how we really rooted these life tools of mastery.
Yes, whatever we have done in the past, we can shift. And by coming back to the principles, not by force, but by reason, rational, higher thinking, we can come back to it gradually, day by day. It's not a race, it's our own process, our own journey of the soul. And we do come into these main types of karma. The pralabdha karmas or destiny karmas that are going to unfold and have us meet certain people at certain times, partner, children, relatives, boss, co-workers, friends. When there is reverberation from the past, unresolved karmas of the previous incarnations, then we feel a sense of recognition, a sense of familiarity, a sense of safety. Then, of course, we have the sanchit karmas, the stored karmas that come with us as a blueprint for the current life, that certain things will unfold at certain times. Then we have the kriyaman karmas that we're discussing here more, and these are our own free will choices that when we come into contact with the pralabdha events, we may consider that we're supposed to spontaneously forget everything and just react in the moment. But we need to have a center from which to respond, observe, interact, because although the pralabdha, the destiny, would have brought the encounter, the relationship, still, whatever we do or say after that arrangement, that God made arrangement, after that, it's very much our own investment. What we say, what we do, after that, we can cultivate the potential of that relationship or spoil it quite easily, depending. So I'm sure
Mm.
you've
That's
seen
a
that
very good
example.
point. I mean, I look at myself and I look at my growth of being with masters. Now, every master has set in their karmas within my timelines of seeds to help transform consciousness on the planet. And they all came with their karmas and their wishes to fulfill their life's purpose with moksha in the fourth ashram. So then they plant seeds into our life, whether you're young or you're middle-aged or you're older, and you look at, well, who am I? I'm the combination of all my teachers. I'm the combination of their dreams, but then recognizing how to integrate your legacy from what the teachers made or helped to shape you. And
Mhm.
then you reshape and then you reformat based on what life has offered you.
Well, absolutely. So this encounter with the guru, the teacher, and of course there are many. Our teacher tells us that we should treat each and every person as a guru, in that the guru is in all, and that by having that intention to treat each person as a teacher, we're able to learn from everyone. And
Mm.
when it comes to a teacher, yes, we want to um, be a good student and imbibe the qualities, knowledge, and precepts that are being conveyed and taught. And
Mm.
yes, it does bring the responsibility back to our own journey,
Mm.
our own soul journey of we are responsible for all the results of our life. So
Mm.
this is why the Brahma Muhurta time is so critical. as an investment each morning, to have that communion with the divine essence, so that we're having that because we're still in under the influence of mind. It's as if it's a conversation, as if we're listening and we're integrating and we're trying to make up our own mind. But keep in mind, mind is the agency of suffering as well as the agency of liberation from suffering. We have to understand our way into, we have to engage the mind as a dedicated energy towards the final moksha, final liberation from delusion and suffering. So yes, each step that we make along the way belongs to then the Kriyaman karmas, the decisions that you make every day about what to say, who to phone, how to use your time, and how to plan your bookends of life, early to bed and lunch on time.
So good. Well, I think we've got it so much wrapped in that timeline of how much information we want to get about this topic. And I just want to welcome viewers or anybody that has a chance to see this to connect with my beloved Jai Sri Lambert. You do have an open door house coming up event on the 21st, the full
Yes,
moon.
I've been invited friends and family to a garden party in my home, which is only once a year. I send out the invitation to my near and dear ones, and it's for meeting and greeting each other. I have a great variety of wonderful friends, and they don't know each other. So it's an opportunity for people to meet and greet one another and get to know like-minded souls that are very disparate, very different, very zany, very, fun.
Mhm. Well, that whole idea about communing and the opportunity to, if you are needing accountability with how you're growing with your Ayurveda, your yoga, your meditation, your self work, your self development, it's just another wonderful thing that we all can be doing more of for the Sangha and for the universal vision of oneness. I want to thank you for showing up today, Jai Sri Lambert, for having the friendship and for instilling these wonderful words of wisdom and thoughts to the community.
Oh, thank you, my dear. And just our closing prayers. Sahana Vavatu Sahana Punaktu Saviryam Karvavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishabahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you so much. See you soon, Jai Sri.